Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my favorite books from the second quarter of 2020. So I'll be talking about my 10 favorite books, just like from the first quarter, that I read from the month of April to June. There's one great thing and one very bad thing about this list. The great thing is that I have books from different genres and not just fantasy. The bad thing is that I don't even have a single non-fiction book in this list because I did not read a lot of non-fiction in the second quarter, and all of the non-fiction books which I read did not turn out to be that great that they have such a great impact on me. I'll be talking about the books in the order from April to June chronologically. So without any further ado, let's get into the books right away. The first book in my list is the first book that I read in the second quarter, and it is 1000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. Many of you guys wanted me to read this ever since I unboxed it in one of my unboxings, and I'm very glad that I read this because it was really awesome. It is a literary fiction slash historical fiction, but it is categorized as literary fiction because it happens after the World Wars. This happens mostly in the 1970s, and that's one of the main reasons why it is categorized as literary fiction, if I'm not wrong. I read this book in like 2 days, in the first 2 days of April, I think. I don't remember properly. I have a vlog for this. If I have videos for any of the books I'm talking about in this video, I'll link them all down in the description. You can go and check them out if you're interested. Now, the thing about this book which made it a favorite for me was the relationship between the two main characters, okay? They are so different when it comes to age, but the experiences that they have and the common point in their life is so horrible that they are able to understand each other very well, and how they work as a team against this one single person and how they guard each other was really awesome. Though the age difference between the two characters is like that between a mother and a daughter, they are actually sisters from the point of view of the story being narrated. And I should say that though I did not think a lot about this book after having completed it, there are certain scenes in this book which I just remember very vividly, and I'm sure that they will stay with me for the rest of my life also. So this is definitely one of my favorites from the second quarter. The second book in my list is a really surprising read because I went in with such low expectations, and it is The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley, which is the first book in the Eldest Curses series. The peculiar thing about this series is that each and every book in the series happens during different times of the entire Shadowhunter Chronicles. This first book happens after the end of City of Glass, which is the third book in the Mortal Instrument series, and halfway through the fourth book, which is City of Fallen Angels. So if you ask me, the best time to read The Red Scrolls of Magic is after finishing the entire Mortal Instrument series, because there's a small detail there's a small thing which is revealed in The Red Scrolls of Magic which we don't get to know until the last few hundred pages of City of Heavenly Fire. So finish that series and then move on to this book because it will make a lot more sense. And the reason why this is one of my favorites from the second quarter is the development of the relationship between Magnus and Alec that was shown in this one, and the character growth of Alec that was shown here also. I've said many times that I did not like how Alec goes in City of Lost Souls, which is the fifth book in the Mortal Instrument series, and after reading this book, it makes a lot more sense why he behaves in such a way in that book. And definitely, if you're a person who's a fan of these two characters and the relationship in specific, I'm sure that you will enjoy this. So definitely, it's one of my favorites. The next book is something which I've recommended a number of times already, and I will keep on recommending this many times because it is a hidden gem which I think many more people need to read, and it is Lone Wolf by Jodi Picoult. Now, this is a literary fiction which also has some elements of thriller put into it. I picked this up in the beginning of May, and trust me, this book just put me in such a great reading mood, okay? I just flew through it completely. It is a huge book, but the way in which the author has written it and how she moves the story and narrates it is definitely awesome, and we get 4 points of view from which the story is narrated to us, and each and every point of view is so different and so unique that you'll be able to just say who the character is without even getting the character's name as the chapter heading. It might seem like I am overhyping this book, but I'm definitely not. There's only one thing which you have to keep in mind while getting into this one. It is that it has a lot of the portion of the story happening inside a hospital. So if that kind of an environment is not that comfortable for you while reading, you must give that some thought before getting into this book. Apart from that, I cannot say anything bad at all about this one. It is definitely something which many more people need to read and which I will be keeping on recommending many times in the future. So definitely try this one if you haven't, because it is just awesome. The next one is a very famous Indian book, and it is The Boy Who Loved by Durjoy Datta. Trust me, when I put this in my TBR, many people told me that it is going to be awesome, I'm going to love it, but I did not trust anyone at all because I thought that it was super overhyped. And the second reason is that it is a romance. From my point of view, this book is not a romance, okay? It is an intense character examination and a super family drama. Of all the books in this pile, this is a perfect young adult book, okay? If you're like 14, 15 and above, I'm sure you'll be able to relate with multiple aspects in this one. Even adults, I'm sure if you read this, you'll just love various aspects of the story. The only thing which I felt a bit bumpy was the writing, okay? If the writing had been a bit better, this book would have been a top tier book for me. I rated this one 4 stars and not 5, and the writing was the only reason. Apart from that, everything about this book was just so awesome, especially the characterization of the main character and his friends. It was just epic, and the family drama in this one was just top class. I'm sure that if you're Indian, you'll be able to relate with multiple aspects of the book, and it'll just drive you crazily happy while reading it, and you'll just be able to relate with multiple instances in the book. There's also one trigger warning for this book if you ask me. It deals a lot with suicidal thoughts, so go into the book having that in mind, because it might make you feel a bit more depressed at times if you're already not in a great mood. So I think many people will enjoy it just like I did, and it's definitely a great book. The next book is something that is totally in contrast for The Boy Who Loved, because The Boy Who Loved is a very sad, depressing book, yet very, very good. The next one is a very heartwarming, happy read, and it will definitely top The Boy Who Loved if you read it after reading that book, and it is A Man Called Uva by Fredrik Backman. This is definitely one of the most heartwarming books that I've read, and the book which made me feel so happy after having completed it, because there was not even a single instant in the book which made me feel so sad or cry, okay, because many things are predictable in this one, but the way in which the author actually shows this character of Uva and the thought flows that he has, I'm sure all of us might have seen at least one old person like this in our life, and after reading this book, you'll just want to have Uva in your life. You'll just feel like you want to go out of your house, you want to see that old man, and you'll want him to scold you for something that you didn't do right, because he doesn't think that it is the right way to do it. It is such a wonderful book. So if you're like craving for a very heartwarming read which will just make you happy and make you see things from a different perspective from people of an older age, please do try this one, because it was so awesome, and I do think all of us need to read this book. Next one is a dystopian book. Okay, trust me, I'm not at all the person who likes dystopia at all. I've told that also many times in the channel, but this is a dystopian which I just enjoyed throughout, and it is I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. I listened to it on audio. The way in which I came to know this book is through Murphy Napier's channel, because she recommended it in one of her videos, and ever since I saw that, and ever since I heard the way in which she presented the book or pitched the book for me, it was very interesting. I picked it up in the first few days of June, and trust me, it was awesome. Okay, we have this only man who is caught on Earth where every other human being is dead, and those of the ones who survived have become vampires now, and they are trying to kill him and make him into a vampire, or just drink his blood. So he has to protect himself, and he's also trying to cure this disease. The vampires are actually created due to some disease, a bacteria. We get the entire story from the point of view of this single person alone, and we spend the entire book within his head itself. It was just so awesome. Okay, it is a very frustrating book, but I just enjoyed the whole time being frustrated while reading it. It was awesome to read. If you guys know any dystopian like this one, preferably a standalone, please do recommend it to me, because I enjoyed this the whole time, and I also watched Will Smith's movie after finishing this one, and I should say the book is far better compared to the movie. If you like that movie, I'm sure you will just love this book. The next book is the first book in a young adult mystery series, and it is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I did not expect to love this one as much also. The main aspect of the story which just hooked me to it was the atmosphere that the author has built. Okay, every page while I was reading this book, I felt like I was in that place while I was reading it. I'm sure I'm going to recommend this many times also. And I've got the next 2 books in the series in my July TBR. I have not started them yet, but I'm sure once I start reading the second book, I'll just binge the second and third books together, because I don't want to read anything in between those 2 books. And the amount of willpower it took me in order to not read the second and third books in June itself and finish the series was immense, because I wanted to finish the Dark Artifices. If you're planning to read something very cozy, very chilly, and very, very interesting for this monsoon, please put this on your TBR. It'll be definitely worth your whole time, and also it is insanely fast paced. Okay, each and every character is written in a way that you'll not be able to trust anyone, and the way in which the main character unveils certain things and the way her brain works from all the content that she has consumed visually and from books is just so awesome. I know I'm raving about this one because I just loved it the whole time, and I'm sure once I finish reading the series, I'll definitely review it. So please do go forward and pick this, because it is definitely worth all the hype. The last 3 books in this list all belong to a single series, and it is Dark Artifices by Cassandra Clare. I can easily say The Dark Artifices is definitely an epitome to Cassandra Clare's writing until now, and I'm going to talk about all the 3 books separately. Let's start with Lady Midnight. I can very easily say with my eyes blind that Lady Midnight is the best first book in all the series that Cassandra Clare has written so far. Not even Chain of Gold is as good as Lady Midnight because it was just so awesome. Of course, in order to read Lady Midnight, you must have finished both the Mortal Instruments and Infernal Devices series and also Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy, because chronologically speaking, all those 10 books happened before the starting of this one, and many things that you want to know from here have their basement in those 2 series and that single short story collection. So if you want to read this, please do complete all those 10 books and then move into this, because it will be totally worth it. And the amount of characters in this one we have and the development that they go through starting from the first book and moving along with the series is just so awesome. And the instances during which we get the main characters from the Mortal Instruments series tied into this one is just so epic. So definitely because of all these reasons, this is one of my favorites. Next, moving on to Lord of Shadows, which is my most favorite read from the first half of the year. I can definitely say this is going to be my most favorite Shadowhunter book until all the books that I've finished right now. I don't think even Ghost of the Shadow Market can top this one because it's just a short story collection, and the amount of work that Cassie has done in this one and the way in which she has ended this book is super freaking good, okay? If you think that the ending of City of Fallen Angels is a cliffhanger, you should read this one because things go super crazy and you will definitely not be able to predict the things that are going to happen in Queen of Air and Darkness. The plot, the characters, the relationship between them, and the exploration of this entire Shadowhunter world, all of those things have been masterfully done by Cassie Clare in this book. And I can easily say now itself that Clockwork Princess used to be my most favorite Shadowhunter book until now, but after reading Lord of Shadows itself is just went down to number 2, and this is definitely my most favorite of all the books. Though the story doesn't end here, the way in which it ended here and the decisions that Cassie Clare took in this one were just so awesome and made such a mark in my mind. So definitely it's a really awesome read. You can just read this entire series for this middle book itself. At last, we have Queen of Air and Darkness, which is a 900-page beast. Though it is so huge, it is very easy to read. The story just keeps on moving continuously. The thing which made Queen of Air and Darkness not my most favorite of all the 3 books and which made Lord of Shadows move on to the first position is the way in which Cassie Clare used a lot of space in this book to set up the next series rather than concluding this one. Of course, the story of the Dark Artifices is mostly complete in this one. There's also this huge chunk within this book which just feels like a book inside a book. I'm not saying it in a negative way. I'm just saying that that could have been made a bit shorter, but there's this section inside the book which ties in the first half and second half together, which is totally different from the entire world of this book itself. Since I read I Am Legend also in the same month as I read Queen of Air and Darkness, a lot of that chunk of the story reminded me of I Am Legend because I read the books in the same month. Because of all these reasons, this is definitely not my most favorite of all the 3 Dark Artifices books, but definitely worth the entire time reading this. And if you're a fan of the Mortal Instruments series, you'll just enjoy this, love this, okay? Especially the last few chapters, the epilogue, all those things are just awesome. So if you're just having second thoughts on whether you want to read the Dark Artifices or not, please do go and pick it up and read it because I'm sure you will enjoy it. Okay guys, that's it for today, and those are all the 10 books which are my favorites from the second quarter of 2021. And if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel because I publish new videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.